Today on the podcast, we are featuring the London-based artist Bukky Sky. Learn more about him and listen to his track Harakiri.
Welcome to the Eat, Sleep, Breathe Music podcast, where we talk all things music. I'm your host, Jeanette Kimsel, blogger and music enthusiast. Let's get started with today's episode.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Eat, Sleep, Breathe Music podcast. I'm your host, Jeanette Kimsel. For those of you just joining us, this is the podcast where I talk about different musicians and how their music affects me, and then I play a track of theirs for you to listen to. So you can check it out, form your own opinion as well, and if you're so interested in sharing your thoughts on this track and the artist, I'll have details at the end of the show where you can leave your comments. Today I'm chatting about Bukky Sky, a London-based artist who, according to his Spotify profile, has been making music since January 2021. And I had first heard about Sky and featured his track Amazing as a song of the day on our website back in February of the same year. Amazing was off his debut EP, Brave in Love, and was said to draw influences from artists like The Smiths, Bob Dylan, Beirut, Benjamin Clementine, Ian Brown, Portishead, and Feist. It blended alternative piano pop melodies that had this dark cinematic feel to it, The song was really inviting, and it described his childish way of treating people who he was in relationships with. He also had this intense vocal storytelling, which is also something I hear on this new track, Harakiri, that I'll be playing later for you. And Harakiri is the second single off his latest EP, Happy Sexy Love Potion, which came out earlier this month. And, I wanted to get a sense of how this track compares to the other two tracks on the EP. So it's a 3-track EP, and, all 3 songs have this electronic element to it that's very just like kind of chill, and they're just like cool songs to listen to. They make you feel very at ease. It's great music for like relaxing or keeping on in the background. It's also something, I could see like sway, not maybe like really dancing out to, but like just something to kind of like, maybe slow dance or, different things like that. I don't know if that's a weird description of the song, but it's cool to listen to his musical arrangements because they are something that I think will appeal to listeners. It has a lot of instrumentation going on, and it kind of makes it like this really in-depth piece. And that's kind of goes across the board for all 3 songs. There's like this very soulful bass to his music, and then that is just layered on top with like the electronica and also sometimes like guitar chords in one of the other tracks on the EP. And the song Harakiri also in particular has a lot of like musical genres layered throughout the track. You have these elements of like this like pulsating Afrobeat in the background, and then on top of that you have the electronica vibe, and then there's like this lo-fi hip-hop element, and then there's another jazz bebop sound with also these pop melodies. So it becomes like this very, very rich, diverse, very lush and just kind of interesting mix, because it's not just like one thing, but it's like all of this instrumentation together, and it just makes it sound really, really cool. Another thing I just noticed listening to the beginning of this song again, there's like this horn sound you can hear with the beginning electronic. It opens like for about like 20 seconds or so, and it's like and I don't know if that voice is like an electronic voice or if it's actually like another person singing, but I love the opening because it's just like and then it's got like the horns in the background, and it just kind of complements each other so well. And then, like as I said, about 20 seconds in, then you start to hear the vocals from Bukky Sky, and he's got like this almost whisper to his vocals as he raps and rhymes, and it's very smooth, it's very soft, and it's very chill. But what he's singing about is really intense, so there's this like chasm between the music and the lyrics. And the reason I say that is because of what a harakiri is. The dictionary defines it as a ritual suicide by disembowelment with sword, formerly practiced in Japan by samurai as an honorable alternative to disgrace or execution. And so to me, that paints this picture of, the lyricist feeling very like just worn out and kind of like, inhonorable and disgraceful. And, if you look back to some of the lyrics in his song, he's talking about how he feels really tired and exhausted and, just felt empty and alone, overworked, unfulfilled. And it was kind of like, at the end of the rope, at the end of his rope, and just kind of unsure of like where to go. And it's like, you're putting all this energy into something and you don't feel like you're getting anything back. And it can make you feel very disgraced. And maybe, this is like an execution or something. And so it's a very, very dark lyricism compared to like the musical component of it, because the musical component is so light and airy, not necessarily light and airy, but it's got like a lot more, I would say, just kind of like smoothness to it. Whereas like, you would think that it would be more of an upbeat song because of the music, but the lyrics are very dark and very heavy. And I think it's a kind of nice compliment, because sometimes we need a little seriousness in our music. And it's a nice thing for people to listen to who do enjoy listening to lyrics, because they can take that and they can take all the things that he's feeling and kind of relate to it, and just kind of hope that, something will come out of this. And sometimes it doesn't happen. And according to Bukky Sky, you feel pretty harakiri, and that's okay. And some days we feel harakiri, and, like life isn't perfect. There's going to be lemons. There's going to be, there's going to be shitty days. There's going to be crappy days. And I think like it's also kind of a good outlet, because you can see what other people are going through and experiencing. And I feel like I keep saying the same thing with it being a nice compliment to the music, but I think, the dichotomy between this very kind of like more flowy and just kind of like, continuous, like kind of cool beats. It's like, it seems kind of like that music is lighter than the lyrics, and the lyrics make it kind of an interesting combination and kind of just, again, add another element to the song and make it really like just something more. And I think it's a good track to kind of open the EP with, because it definitely entices the listener to like learn more about this artist and be like, oh, what else is his other music like? And I think he's even kind of grown from the other EP, because that sound seemed very, very different to me. It was more of like a darker, cinematic, very different. It still had these like electronic and pop elements to it, but when you do listen to his music, it's a little bit more soulful, it's a little bit more hip-hop. Additionally, I think he has a diversity and a music that is just like experimental and very cool. So it, even though it does have these bass lines of certain musical genres, it seems like he's expanding on his music and he's kind of building out different types of things. And as I said, even this song compared to the last song, is different sounding to me. And I think that's cool that he's expanding on his sound. And that's also something I think a lot of people are seeing, because he is getting a lot of write-ups and he's getting a lot of accolades. His music has been featured on different radio stations, and, he's gotten a lot of press from outlets including Ear Milk, The Other Side's Reviews, Cut It Out, The Bops Collective, Phoenix FM, Iggy Magazine, Stillwater Magazine, and A Pinch of Soul. And I'll leave links for those in the show notes if you want to check out his music. And if you are looking to listen to any of his other music, you can check out it. It's on streaming services. It's on Apple Music, Amazon, Bandcamp, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And I'll leave links to these in the show notes if you want to check out some of his other stuff. And if you're into music videos, there's a video that accompanies this track. It's the third in the Happy Sexy Love Potion series, and it documents the story of a weird and wistful character finding his way amongst the pigeons and the cash machines of East London in search of life he lost. Will he eventually find the green light he was searching for? We can only hope. So with that being said, this song offers a lot for anyone looking for a deep meaning in your music. And if you're someone who just is looking for a chill, relaxing musical track and you don't want to dive into the lyrics, this could also be something up your alley. So I see I'm at the 10-minute mark now, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. So without further ado, now I will play the track. Here is Harakiri by Bukky Sky.
Thinking of self for so long, don't quite know where I went wrong, and just where I might get off and put up all my hang-ups. Thinking of self for so long, don't quite know where I went wrong, and just where I might get off and put up all my hang-ups. I won the lottery, I should be so happy. I'm feeling so damn weak, feel so hard to giddy. Don't put your eyes on me, I'm going straight to sleep. Don't put invites on me, I'm good, I love you, please. Tied up. Don't need excuses, I don't need a ride up. Tied up. Don't need excuses, I don't need a ride. I'm so tired, I'm so salty, so sad. I'm so mad, I don't know why. Thought I loved my life, I don't know why. I'm so tired. Bringing the face to the window, bringing the known to the unknown, calling the voice when I feel low, calling the wind when I don't blow. I don't see the lines, I just feel the signs. Now I know the time's changing, changing. I don't see the signs, I just feel the lines. Now you know the time's changing, changing. I'm so tired, I'm so salty, so sad. I'm so mad, I don't know why. Thought I loved my life, I don't know why. I'm so tired. My sensibilities, I sense a life of ease. Can't take much more of these. I ask for challenges. My God, don't take the peace. Don't need much more of these. Been working hard like this. Bokola means wealthy. Tied up. Don't need excuses, I don't need a ride up. Tied up. Don't need excuses, I don't need a ride. I'm so tired, I'm so salty, so sad. I'm so mad, I don't know why. Thought I loved my life, I don't know why. I'm so tired.
We would love to know what you think about Bukky Sky and his track Harakiri. You can tell us in a comment on the podcast webpage. You can also leave an audio comment at the link in the episode summary. If you're looking for more information on Bukky Sky, you can follow him on Instagram and TikTok at the handle Bukky Sky. That is BUKKYSKY. If you're looking for more new music, be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you get the latest updates on our artist features. You can also find more music features on our website at www.eatsleepbreathemusic.com. That is EATSLEEPBREATHAEMUSIC.com. Thanks for listening and see you in the next episode.
Thanks so much for listening to the Eat, Sleep, Breathe Music podcast. To find new music and learn more about what we do, you can check out our website at www.eatsleepbreathemusic.com.